What is up? Welcome to Etsy Jam. In this episode, Richie and I dive into Marmalead's Shop Fitness Calculator. We discuss what it will cost, spoiler alert, it's free, and what sort of information you'll get from it. Spoiler alert, a pretty decent amount. So stick around for this next episode of Etsy Jam. What is up? Welcome to Etsy Jam, the energetic podcast where we have serious conversations. I am Gordon from Marmalead.
And I am Richie from Marmalead. And if you don't know what Marmalead is, and you have an Etsy shop that you are serious about, you gotta go check out Marmalead, because Marmalead is the best Etsy SEO and market research tool for serious sellers. Now I'm gonna send you right to it. Go to marmalead.com, marmalead.com. Check it out if you're serious about your shop. It's also what allows Gordon and I to do Etsy Jam, because we do Marmalead full time these days.
Yep. And it helps Richie afford fancy shirts.
Yes, I promised Tracy that I would wear a shirt that was not borrowed from Gordon. Definitely not borrowed from Gordon. This is my own shirt that's not a t-shirt. So, Tracy, I do have one now, just for you. And here it is as promised. Maybe a few weeks after we talked about it, though.
That's all good. You still proved you have one. So, today we are talking about something that we've had in our Marmalade arsenal for quite a while now. It's actually one of the free services that we provide, and it's available to anybody who has an Etsy shop who wants to try it out and take it for a test drive. And what I'm talking about is our Shop Fitness Calculator. This was one of the first tools we built out when we were building Marmalade, and what it does is it kind of looks at your shop at a much higher level than just what Marmalade focus on with SEO. This will kind of look across a larger platform and tell you how your shop is doing in different areas and stuff like that. Now, we'll also look at your SEO when you get your grade for how your shop fitness ends up scoring here, but it looks at some other factors too. So yeah. And if you want to follow along with us and try out the Shop Fitness Calculator for yourself as we're going through this podcast, you can find it over at marmalead.com, spelled the way Richie just told you earlier, /apps, APPS. I'll spell that one because it's easy.
Perfect. Yep, there's a little icon that says Shop Fitness Calculator. Hard to miss. I think we also linked to it from our blog as well.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Hard to miss if you go there.
Yeah. And there's a couple other things there too. There's the Rock Your Photos app that we do, which will deliver you a report of your photos on one of your listings graded by actual real shoppers. And you can pick how many different people you want to kind of score your photos and give you some keyword ideas actually too, purely based on your photos. There's also a link to the Entrepreneur Library, and there is a link to a page of onboarding videos, like a lot of videos. So if you ever want to learn more about Marmalade, Etsy, SEO, any of that stuff, that's a good place to head for that sort of information too. So yeah, you ready to jump into it?
Yeah, let's jump in.
All right, let's jump in. So on the Shop Fitness Calculator, basically you're going to fill out some information, and then we do some calculations, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop, 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 and we'll deliver you a grade, like a good old-fashioned letter grade, like we all love from school. So when we get in here, what we're going to do is we'll walk you guys through what sort of information you need to fill in, where you can find that information, and then we're going to walk you through what we show on the results page to give you a little bit more information about, what we're doing here. So you get to the Shop Fitness Calculator, you got to fill out some basic stuff like your email and your shop name. And then the first important thing that you need to fill out is a time period for what time period you want to look at when you're calculating your score here for your shop. And you have a couple different options here. You can go last 7 days, last 30 days, this month, last 12 months, this year, or last year. All right. So these are just different time periods, and it really depends on, what you want to look at with your shop. Maybe you want to see, okay, well, I know I've made some changes and I made them in January. So I really want to just look at the last 12 months and include as much of the most recent time as I can. Or maybe you just started out your shop and you don't have 12 months of data yet, and you really just want to see how you've been doing the last 30 days or so. So you can do that, and you can pick that in here. Now, the important thing to remember when you pick this is for the rest of the data that we're going to be kind of filling in here from Etsy, you want to make sure that your time period matches between what you're looking to do with Shop Fitness Calculator and what time period of data you're looking at in your Etsy shop stats. So to do that, when you log into Etsy, go to your shop manager, and then on the left-hand side, you'll see a section for stats. And then when you go into your stats section at the very top right, there'll be like this exact same drop down. Okay, so you'll see, I think it defaults to like a day or today or something like that. But if you click that, you can see you also have the same things you can do, like last 7 days, last 30 days, last year, this year, blah, 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 and so forth. And you just want to make sure that when you're looking up numbers in here to enter into the Shop Fitness Calculator, that you always have those 2 time periods set up so that they match. Otherwise, the math behind the scenes won't be right, and things won't add up correctly, and your results won't be accurate. So we'll just keep that in mind as you're going through this thing.
Good to note.
Yeah, little gotcha. So
yeah,
the next 3 pieces of information are things that we're going to pull straight from our Etsy stats page. And again, this is so that you don't have to have a Marmalead account to do this. You don't have to pay. Obviously, it's a free tool that we do. You don't even have to tie your Etsy shop to it. You just go to your Etsy shop, look up this data, and type it in on this page, and it runs and does its thing. So the next 3 things that we're looking at, we look at the number of active listings. And so to see this, you need to go, where was that? Find my handy little screenshot here. Yeah, so on this one, you're going to go to your shop manager and go to your listings view. They don't show it in the stats view anymore, but if you go over to your listings view and then just see the number of active listings that's listed there, it shows over on the right-hand side when you're in your listings view. So you can easily type that in there. Now, unfortunately, Etsy doesn't tell you, like, let's say you're running this for last year, okay? Etsy won't tell you how many active listings you had last year. So just use your best guess if that's the case. If it's not a number that's exactly in line with what you have now, like let's say you have 200 listings now and you know last year you only had like 50, go ahead and put in 50 there. And it'll make things a little bit more accurate that way, instead of just going off of your current number of active listings like Etsy shows you. And the next thing you're going to want to add is the number of orders that you had for the time period you selected. And for this, you're going to be in your shop manager in Etsy. And on the stats view, we'll get the next 2 numbers from here. And the first one is number of orders. So this is easy. Etsy does a nice job with their revamped stats. Number of orders is there right there front and center at the top of the screen when you go to your stats view. So you're just going to go ahead and enter in whatever it says underneath orders. And then the last number on this page of the Shop Fitness Calculator is the number of listing visits that you have for this time period. And I say for this time period, again, just to remember that we're making sure that whatever we picked in that dropdown inside of Shop Fitness Calculator, like I picked last year, I want to make sure that I have that same last year thing selected inside of Etsy Stats. So then also on the stats, just to the left of where they show orders, they show visits for that time period. And you'll want to take whatever number shows there and paste that into Shop Fitness Calculator as well. Did I miss anything on that page?
I don't think so. Those are the only ones on that page. So, yeah.
All right.
So, I mean, you emphasize a lot of times
so that's,
picking the time frame you want to use. That's really important.
Yeah.
And obviously it's for accurate data, but it's also important just to kind of get what you're trying to do, like what you're trying to go after. If you want to see if, you know, something you're working on has improved this month versus last month, or maybe you're trying to track like every 7 days or every 30 days, am I tracking in the right direction?
Yeah.
You know, that time frame is the tool you're going to want to use for that.
Yeah. And that's a good point that you kind of just brought up there too about, you know, is something working or how are you tracking in the last 30 days? If you're thinking of launching a campaign, this is a tool that can be useful to you to just kind of baseline, get a good measurement of how any changes that you've made to your shop are working for you. So, like, let's say you're going to launch a Pinterest campaign, right? And you're going to start pinning things more frequently and trying to, you know, target your customer on Pinterest and pull them over to your Etsy shop. Running the Shop Fitness Calculator, making your changes, running your campaign for 30 days, 60 days, you know, whatever. And then coming back and doing Shop Fitness Calculator again could give you some valuable insights into whether or not all that stuff you did actually worked.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of the whole game.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So after you filled in that kind of basic info about your shop, you hit next. Now there's like 3 more kind of like pages, I guess you could say, of stuff to fill out here, but it's really the same thing repeated 3 different times. And I'll kind of explain that here as we get into it. What we're going to look at inside of our Etsy stats is our highest 3 keywords. Now, this is one of the cool things that Etsy shares back to us as sellers is inside of our stats. If you scroll down, there is a section called search terms. And I say this is cool that Etsy does this because Google Analytics used to include this by default, like for everybody. And then they kind of removed it and they were like, well, if you use AdWords, you can see it in AdWords, for the AdWords campaigns that you've paid for, but we were not going to show you keywords that you haven't paid for. But then they decided to include it inside of like Google Webmaster Tools and blah, 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 blah. It was like they made it really hard for people that were trying to practice good SEO to get at this information and see, okay, what are people searching for that land on my pages? Well, Etsy does a great job of sharing this right back to you as a seller and saying like, here, look, these are the keywords people are typing into our search, like to find you. Here's what is working right now so that people can find your listings and get to them. And what we want to do with this inside of the Shop Fitness Calculator is look at your top 3 keywords, and we're going to kind of score those keywords and let you know, are those good keywords? Could you be finding better keywords than your top 3? Your top 3 should be like the best keywords you could be using, right? But that doesn't mean that they are necessarily. You could be using, a keyword here that is kind of generic, and you might be able to find something that's a bit more specific to what you're trying to sell and get way more views and sales off of that other keyword. So we want to look at the top 3.
It could be the best keyword for your shop, but not necessarily good in all of Etsy, right?
Exactly.
That's kind of the point you're trying to make.
Yeah.
It's just the best of what you have.
Exactly. And it's only going to show you the keywords that people have used to find your things. So it's not going to give you new keywords, right? You need to be using these keywords somewhere in your listings, whether it's a tag or your title or both or whatever, in order for it to start working and people to start finding you here. You're probably not going to find any new keywords in here that you haven't used on your listings. So the first page here, we're going to take our highest keyword, okay, and we're going to write that keyword into the Shop Fitness Calculator. And then we need to find out the number of your listings and the top 100 results for that keyword. So the easiest thing to do is to go into Marmalead and do a search, because we're going to need this data later anyway. Do a search for your keyword inside of Marmalead. As an entrepreneur, you can filter down and say, show only my listings, and it will show you an exact number there for how many listings you have that are in the top 100. You're going to enter that number in here. Now, if you don't have Marmalead Entrepreneur, you can still use Marmalead and do a search and like scroll through the different items that come up and just count, when you see yours and count how many are there. You could also put your browser into incognito mode, log out of Etsy, do a search on Etsy itself, count your listings that show up in the top 100 there. However you want to get this number. It's easiest if you just go into Marmalead and say filter by only mine. It'll show you the number right there. So you're going to enter that. Now, we want 3 more pieces of information from Marmalead here. The first is the average views per week for that keyword. So we already entered this keyword into Marmalead. We did our search on the keyword search page. Right at the top, it'll show you underneath the Marmameters how many average views per week this keyword gets. And you're going to put that number into the Shop Fitness Calculator also. Right next to that in Marmalead is average number of favorites per week that keyword has. So you're going to enter that into the Shop Fitness Calculator. And then the last piece of information here is the number of categories that keyword has. And the easiest way to see this, again, is inside of Marmalead. When you do a search, you'll see like that filter bar where you could say just include my listings. Right across from that is filter by category. And at the bottom of that, it shows you how many categories there are. So like for this keyword, always sunny, it says show all 26 categories. So I know that there's 26 categories included in the top 100 results for this keyword. All right. Hopefully you guys are all still with me here. But we basically just filled out all of this information that we could get for this one first keyword. Now you hit next. You're making progress here. We're about like halfway done. You basically need to do this exact same process for your number 2 and number 3 keyword from your search terms in Etsy stats. So it's the same process for both of those keywords. Exact same thing. Type them into Marmalead, do a search, and pull back those numbers and enter those into the Shop Fitness calculator as well. Oh, I should mention too, inside the Shop Fitness calculator, there's little question marks next to each one of the fields. So if you're ever confused or, you're going through this on your own later and you're like, oh man, where did he say I could find this thing? I don't remember where to find this thing. You go ahead and click that little question mark and you'll get a nice little like modal pop-up window that shows you a picture, whether it's inside of Etsy or inside of Marmalead or whatever, of how to find that number, how to find that value and where it goes. So, all right, we filled everything out. We made it through. We did our basic shop information and our top 3 keywords and all the information for those keywords. Now we're ready to get graded, right? So step 1, cross your fingers and then hit next. And the Shop Fitness calculator will go ahead and give you an overall Shop Fitness score, which is a letter grade, A, B, C, D, F. And it'll show you what your score is, and it'll also show you what the average score of everyone who takes the Shop Fitness calculator is. And there's quite a few people who've been through here and done this, so it's a pretty big, baseline to compare against for grades here. But we realized that if we just gave you a letter grade and kind of left you at that, it wouldn't be a super useful tool. So what we do is we break this down into different sections to try to give you an idea of where you could use the most improvement, or where you're like, maybe your shop is totally killing it and you're kind of good in that area. So, you can keep doing the things that you're doing in that area and maybe focus on some other spots. And then inside of each of those sections too, we also offer ways to improve this score. And so we have like, 3, it looks like about 3-ish suggestions inside of each one of those for things you can do that will bump that score up or not do, and your score will go down. But ways you can kind of move the needle. So of those sections, the first one we've got is your listing visibility. And we say this measures the number of views your listings get per week against the average that we've seen in Marmalead. So this is a good way of measuring, your listings compared to other people's listings inside of Etsy on a big scale. Like, how many views per week are you seeing versus how many views per week are other people seeing typically? And this kind of goes back to that time period where you need to make sure you're picking the right time period so that everything matches up with everyone else's. You don't want to be comparing the number of views per week that you got in the last 30 days with the number of views per week someone else got over the last year. Like, that's not going to be a good comparison. So another reason to make sure those two things are in sync. But that's your visibility, and that's, you can affect that in a couple different ways, right? So obviously you could work on your SEO and try to target more people from Etsy search to come to your listings. If you think you're in a good spot with that, or if you want to try other things, there's always other ways of doing this too. You could use Etsy's promoted listings to try to, pay Etsy to drive a little bit more traffic to your listings that way. You could use social media to try to attract more people to your listings. You could pay for ads on other platforms, Facebook, Pinterest, Google Ads, all that kind of stuff, to try to drive more traffic to your listings and improve the visibility that you have, which is the average number of views that you're getting each week. And kind of like Richie was saying before too, like, this is something that if you want to go ahead and implement some of these changes, it's like, come back after a month or so. a week might be too short to really see a difference here. But, if you've really been doing something for a month, 30 days, you've been paying for Facebook ads and targeting a certain market with that, you should really come back and see like how has this really affected my visibility score here? How have things changed? Because when you look at orders, obviously you want orders to go up, right? Like, let's say I'm running Facebook ads and I got I ran them this month and I got 3 more orders than I did last month. That's, if I'm getting if I got 20 orders last month and 23 orders this month, those are really small numbers. And that's not necessarily like a good indicator of whether or not something's working. You want to be comparing bigger numbers, which is why it's helpful to look at longer periods of time, which are going to have, more numbers in them, or looking at something like views, where on average you're going to get 100 views for every sale. So by looking at a much larger number, you'll be able to see with a better degree of accuracy if something is working for you or not.
Yes. And I've seen people try to look at one day and they'll be like, I had 20 views today, but I got 2 sales.
Yeah.
My conversion rate is awesome. And it's like, well, it's because you're looking at just today and those people kind of came back and bought that.
Sure.
That's not when everything started. You definitely have to look at a wider range and let everything kind of average out and do its thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you knew what your customer's buying cycle timeline looked like, that would probably be pretty much the window you'd want to look at.
Yeah.
So if you know that your average customer takes, a week to see your stuff and then come back and buy it, you'd know you have to always look at least that much time to actually capture all of that information.
Yeah. True story. You speak true words, Richie.
Thanks. I do what I can.
All right. So the next section here inside of the Shop Fitness grading page that we've gotten is our conversion rate. And this is something we've been talking about a while. I think we have an entire Etsy jam on conversion rate, actually. But this is basically just measuring the amount of visitors that you have that end up turning into buyers. And so you take your number of orders and divide it by the number of visitors, and that'll give you your conversion rate. And typically, you're going to see what most Etsy sellers see is 1.2%, which is what the average that we see is inside of Shop Fitness Calculator. Now, if you ask Etsy what your conversion rate should be, they'll tell you 3%. And I think we even link to something. Yeah, there's an Etsy Teams discussion that points you right at that, where Etsy recommends 3%. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is pretty universal in e-commerce, is that people like to shoot for 3%, Richie. Is that right?
They do. And then some people will say, but if it's a really high price item, then it's going to be lower. And so, I mean, yes, there's always, outliers and exceptions. So you can kind of niche it down and say, okay, legitimately for this particular niche I'm in, the conversion rate might, 3% might be high, but also might be really low. It is pretty much an average across e-commerce around 3%. But outliers going in the direction you want to go tend to be about 3 times average in a lot of different metrics. So their conversion rates can be closer to 9%. Those are the outliers. Those are the ones that are really doing it well. And if you can ever identify them, those are the ones you're going to want to figure out how they're doing that so you can do it too.
There you go.
Oh, and also episode 40 is our
nice
6 tips to boost your conversion rate.
Dude, how did you do that so fast? That was amazing.
I just typed into Google, Etsy Jam, conversion rate.
Google. All right, cool. So there you go.
Imagine that.
Yeah. It's probably a good hour and a half of solid conversion rate info for you. Or maybe I don't know, 15 minutes of good solid conversion rate info, and then an hour and 15 minutes of pure fun. I don't know.
It's a 50-minute episode.
Oh, all right, cool. It's probably mostly good then.
Yeah.
All right. So conversion rate, right? Some ways to improve this. We've listed a few things here. I think there's some other things we can talk about in addition to these, but the ones that we listed out here Ensure your listings are priced appropriately for how you want to present them. And we've talked about this before too. And Richie can probably do another Google search and figure out what jam we talked about pricing things. But what you want to do here is you want to make sure that when someone's doing a search for stuff and your stuff is showing up, that you're not like way overpriced compared to everyone else around you if you're not trying to be a premium product. And that you're not priced way under what everyone else is showing up around you if you're not trying to be like the bargain bin solution here. You want to make sure that you're priced appropriately for whatever market you're trying to target and, however you want your products to be perceived, right? It's fine to have prices a little bit higher than normal if you're trying to, make sure that you're communicating that, look, this is a premium product that I'm selling here. This isn't something that I just slapped together. I take a lot of time in researching, the materials that I use to make these things. I make sure they're, sourced from places that aren't just like, cheap factories, employing child labor and stuff like that. This stuff matters to people. So it's okay to have prices that are higher if, you really want to make yourself positioned as a premium product and back that up too, right?
Absolutely. Because, if you make a premium product and you price it below what I expect a premium product to be, I'm not going to believe it. Like, right. Where's the gotcha? Where's the catch? You're cutting corners somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Also, this time I used the search on our blog, right? Marmalead.com/blog for pricing. We have a few jams where we talk about it, actually.
Okay.
Episode 8 is a jam dedicated specifically to the pricing.
Ooh,
and
that's an old one.
We have, and episode 7 is where we talk about competitive analysis.
Okay.
And there's going to be some pricing in there as well.
That's good stuff. And that episode 8 and 7, that's a while ago, but that's still very relevant. I don't think we probably talked about anything in there that would have been like specific to a year ago that still doesn't pertain today. So you're safe to watch those.
It's probably even more relevant today than then.
You think so?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's cool. That's kind of like we're like clairvoyant. We're like telling the future.
Sorta. Yeah.
So hopefully the Shop Fitness Calculator is going to be even better a year from now.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's like a good wine just getting better with age.
Nice. Yeah, a premium wine priced appropriately.
Yeah. Yes, again, if there is a super cheap wine and it says this is like the best wine in the whole world, no one's going to believe it. If it's priced like the cheapest wine in the whole world.
Right. There's a funny wine story about that too, isn't there?
Is there?
Yeah, man. I thought you always tell this story about how like it's the same with the water, right? Like if you give somebody two equal things of different values, they automatically perceive the one that costs a little bit more to be nicer, even though you might be giving them the same exact product.
Yes, they trick people all the time into these different tests where they trick people into like raving about tap water and how delicious it is compared to these expensive bottled waters, and they do the same with wine. And apparently even people that are really good at like understanding wine, I think there's a word to that, but people that actually really know their stuff, they are tricked as well. In fact, I saw one on Creative Live. They had Tim Ferriss and Chase Jarvis.
Mm-hmm.
And Chase Jarvis, I guess, knows a little bit about wine. And, drinks wine a good bit or whatnot. And Tim put some red food coloring in white wine.
No way.
And he actually described it
as a red.
He described it as a red.
Oh, man.
Some of the things he was saying did describe were also characteristics of what it actually was.
Uh-huh.
But thinking it was a red, he definitely slanted his opinion towards that.
Dude, I'm gonna have to try that sometime. That's awesome.
Oh yeah. And so, I mean, it's amazing just how much the rest of our perception plays into things that are even as strong as taste.
Yeah. Did he tell him afterwards that he did that?
Oh, he told him on the show. Yeah, absolutely.
That's
it was a little bit embarrassing for him.
Awesome.
It was part of his 4-hour chef course or whatnot. It was as some sort of promotion. They were doing that whole streaming it live.
Yeah.
Anyone can jump in kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was entertaining.
That's awesome. You know who else likes wine?
Me.
Me too. But I was thinking of someone else. I was thinking of Gary Vaynerchuk.
Ah, he does like wine.
Yeah. I used to watch. He had a wine vlog that he did right when like video podcasts were just starting to get popular. Before he did all of his marketing stuff that he does now. And it was really cool because he was like a normal dude. When you watch him do these things, he'll taste the wine and talk about it and stuff like that. But he also talks about like normal everyday things too. And I think a lot of times people get caught up in kind of like the hoity-toityness of wine. And this was Gary's way of kind of just going down a completely different path from that. And he built up a huge following and an audience doing it too. I was one of them. And I enjoyed him, but now I don't think he does those anymore. He's got bigger fish to fry. But anyway.
Yeah, I think he does like he talks about it here and there.
Yeah.
Like his little throwback kind of thing. But
yeah,
I'm not sure he's actually doing the reviews anymore.
Yeah, it was fun. It was good times. Conversion rate. Back to conversion rate. So we also say make your descriptions include all of the info shoppers need. That which is linked off to a good article with some suggestions of how to help you do that, and improving your listing photos, which looks like it links off to 4 elements of an excellent product photo, which is another one of our articles that we have for you there too. Another way of affecting your conversion rate too is by choosing different keywords than the ones that you're using now. And I don't want to get too much like into the details of it, but the more specific you get with your keywords, the more targeted you're going to be, the more niche you're going to be with your descriptions with your keywords that you're using on your listings. The more likely you're going to find shoppers that are closer to making a purchase than somebody who shows up on Etsy and types in gift. So you might have a better chance of getting a much higher conversion rate. You could see, and we've heard this before, that your views go down, but your conversion rate goes up. And like, that's cool. At the end of the day, it comes down to sales, right? And you want to make sure you're still making, at least the same number of sales, if not more sales. And you can do it with more specific keywords. But a good way of affecting your conversion rate is to play with the keywords that you're using to describe your listings and get more specific if you want to see a higher conversion rate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's all that really matters, right? It doesn't matter if you get 1,000 views instead of 100 views.
Yeah.
If you're still only getting, 5 sales out of it, let's say.
Exactly. Yes. 2 more sections left in the Shop Fitness calculator. The next one we have down here is your SEO ranking. And this measures the number of your listings which appear in the top 100 for each of your top 3 keyword searches. So if you're doing a great job with your SEO, you can have as many as 3 listings, I believe, show up in the top 100. And that's just because of the way Etsy currently, ranks things, and they have this declumping where they don't want to show too much of one shop over a period of results and stuff like that. But if you get 3 listings in the top 100 for a keyword search, you're sitting pretty for that keyword. You're pretty much saturated that keyword with listings, and you're in a good spot. Now, conversely, if you don't have any of your listings that show up in those searches for your top 3 keywords that you're using, you probably want to start, thinking about your SEO strategy, finding some new keywords, looking at renewing some of your listings to freshen them up a little bit, stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, we kind of just talked through all of the ways to improve that, but there you go. And then the last section we have here that goes into your Shop Fitness score is your keyword engagement. And so here we got a whole paragraph. What we say about this, we say this measures the level of engagement from Etsy shoppers, like views and favorites is what we call engagement, for your top 3 keyword searches, and it compares it with the average that we have seen in Marmalead. If you feel like your top 3 keywords aren't indicative of your listings, so in other words, you think you see a keyword there and you're like, I don't even sell anything related to that. Why is this up over here? Feel free to run the tool again with the keywords that you're trying to target, and you might find that that's a bit more meaningful for you, and investigate why those ones aren't in your top 3. There's a reason. If Etsy's showing you that somebody's searching something and coming to your listings, and hopefully buying, but if they're searching and coming through to your listings, then that keyword shows up in your Etsy shop stats, under search terms, there's a reason it's in there. Like I don't think Etsy just tends to send random traffic to random places. So go through your listings and see where you might have used that keyword inside of a tag or inside of a title. It could be that it's, not necessarily a keyword that you're targeting, but maybe you have two keywords in your title next to each other that actually end up making up this other keyword. If you take like the end of one and the beginning of another, it brings out this whole other keyword there. So look for that kind of stuff. And you want to track that down and figure out why that's happening and why you're seeing that in there.
Absolutely. Yeah, try to just understand why things are the way they are.
Yeah.
I think that's a really important part. To an extent.
Yeah.
Like, don't get too caught up on it. So I should be careful with that. But, just kind of understand the basics. Like, okay, so this is how I'm getting this. This is why this is happening. And that way you can kind of come up with like a quick basic plan of action to try something and see if it improves.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the key with this, and pretty much any other tool that you're using, is to try things and then check it. Try, check, over and over and over again. Measure what you're doing and see if it's working for you. If it is working for you, great. Keep doing it. Try some other things. Try to tweak it a little bit. See if you can make it work even better for you. And if it's not working for you, then maybe reconsider, like, is it worth your time? Or could that time that you spent doing this thing be better spent elsewhere on something that could deliver, more results for you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of comes back to the best of what I have compared to like the best of what we can do.
Yes.
The best keywords we can find, the best ones out there.
Yep. I should mention too, one last thing with the Shop Fitness Calculator. So we talked at your overall score that we show up top there. We show you the average score of what people get when they take it. Now the Shop Fitness Calculator is geared so that, an average score is a C. So if you're getting a C, like you're average. Like, don't be too upset about that, right? There's room for improvement. You could be above average. But don't beat yourself up over a C. You can beat yourself up if you're getting like an F. Like, that's fine. I'm okay with that. But that's okay. We can still help with that. But also inside of each of these other sections where we give you individual grades for those things like visibility, conversion rate, SEO ranking, we also show what the average score is in those sections too. And it goes by letter grade too. So in most of them, it's going to be a C. The average is going to be a C. That's just how it is. The bar is like half full. And then we'll show you how you score, relative to that, and how full your bar is. And, with some trial and error, you can always make sure your bar is higher than the average. And when you can do that, you're in a good spot with your shop.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And at the bottom, there's a couple buttons. There's a print this report, so you could print it really easily. Throw it in a file, throw it in your drawer, frame it, whatever you want to do with it.
Yep.
And,
put in a binder.
Put in a binder. Yeah, a little three-hole punch.
Hey, that's the popular one.
Yeah. Laminate it.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Use it
so if you already have a laminator, you're a step ahead.
Yeah. Use it as a placemat. It'd be a good placemat. Little reminder with your cereal every morning of where you can be focusing your efforts. There's another button for take it again. If you want to take it again, maybe try a different time period. Feel free to kind of play around with the different ones and see how you score. It'd be cool to even do it for like last year versus this year. I know the year's not over yet, but you could still run it for just this year and see how you're trending compared to last year. And then a tweet button if you want to tweet it and share what your score was with your Twitter friends.
You should do that.
I should do that. Oh, and I filled it out for Max's store, so I don't know. He might be upset that I'm tweeting his Shop Fitness Calculator score and claiming it as mine.
Should do that then. Was it a good score?
He could use some improvement, right?
Okay.
That's all right. Everyone's in
You're still
different
kind of
spots.
outing him now.
Everyone's
Good
in a
job,
different
Gordon.
spot with their shop. Some people are serious about their shop and wanting to put a lot of energy and time into it. And I think Max kind of like maybe comes in, waves a little bit every now and then. But everyone's different with how they treat their shop. And that's where I think
So true.
when we made Shop Fitness Calculator, this is something that is helpful to anybody, even people who aren't necessarily serious about their shops, maybe more curious, more like people like to dabble in Etsy than be serious about it. This can still help you, right?
Yes.
So,
Well, no matter how much time you want to devote to your shop, like you still want to have a solidly running shop, right? And the smoother your shop, the better you do certain things, like the less time you're actually going to have to spend on them in the long run.
oil
So I
them
still
up.
have you there.
Yeah, I'm here. Thinking about oiling up my shop.
Perfect. And where can they go get some oil?
Oh, you want good oil or like the cheap stuff?
Good.
The cheap stuff.
How about some to the Marmalead blog?
Yeah, that's a good place to go. I mean, if you're here with us with Etsy Jam, you've already found one good source of oil. Hopefully, anyway, we try to do our best to make good oil for you guys. But the jams, yes, the Marmalade blog is a good source. We have articles that go up over there. All of these jams, in fact, are over on the blog. What else? What else do we got?
And they have write-ups for these. There's blog posts,
That's right.
For these.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah. We've got the 2 pages that we mentioned before too. If you go to marmalade.com/apps, there's the Entrepreneur Library, which is a good source of oil. If you're a Marmalade entrepreneur, you'll have access to that, and it's got some courses in there to help you with your shops. And then again, there was the onboarding videos page there too. That's linked from the apps page, and that's got a bunch of videos on there too. That we've got we've got the keyword decision trees listed on there. Understanding Etsy SEO, which is a series that Richie put together. Then we've got levels. We've got some worksheets on there that talk about how to make sure you're targeting the right keywords and that your keywords are working for you. And those are some videos that I have on there. And then we've got a bunch of guest videos on there that people have done about using Marmalade. Yep. Some more training videos that talk about individual components of Marmalade. So if you're curious about individual things like the comparison feature or getting other ideas or using Marmalade for pricing purposes, there's videos for all that stuff too. I mean, there's a lot of videos on that page. It's a lot.
There is.
Yeah.
This is true.
It's like half of Netflix.
Yeah, at least.
Maybe not that many. But
But close.
It's close. Yeah. It's close. Any other good,
good.
oil places, oil stores, oil derricks, oil rigs?
No. I think we're pretty good.
Sweet.
Yeah. Should have tied it back to oranges instead of oil, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where can I go for the juice?
The juice. There you go. We're going to have to redo this jam now.
We'll just overdub. Wherever we said oil, we'll just overdub juice.
I like it.
Yeah. Juice derricks.
There you go. Just take that clip right there and put it on it. That's all we got to do.
Yeah. Yeah. See, should have planned that out. I like that. Should have done oranges. Oh, well.
It's all right. Doing it live, that's what happens.
That is what happens.
It's all good.
Yeah. So there you have it. Shop Fitness Calculator. It's also a good reminder. I mean, I think a lot of people, we've had a lot of people run through this and do it in the past. It's probably like a lot of other free tools where people will go play with it and then kind of forget about it. Good little reminder that it's out there and that maybe you did it a year ago. Maybe you did print it and put it in your drawer a year ago. Might be a good time to go back and run it again and dig that one out of your drawer and hold them up next to each other. Laminate both of them. Make a wider placemat.
There you go.
No, but I mean it's useful to go back and compare and see how your shop is progressing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And move it from a placemat to a tablecloth eventually.
There you go.
When you have enough of those.
Yeah. Man, remember the Shop Fitness score that I got? That was like forever ago.
Yeah, we could do like a quilt. That'd be cool.
Ooh, a quilt. Quilt would be good.
Yeah. Yeah, you could track your progress with a quilt.
Yeah.
All right. I like it.
Yeah. Anything else? What am I forgetting? I have to be forgetting something.
We're both probably forgetting something. I don't know. I feel like we went through everything that I can think of,
Yeah.
prior to us wrapping up and then remembering that one thing that really we should have said.
More oranges.
Yes.
That stings. We'll just sprinkle some overdubs in.
Yes. I think that's really the key. Take the pressure off that way.
Sounds good.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah. Boom. Go check it out. Run your Shop Fitness Calculator. Share your results with others and with us, too. Let us know how you did. And if you have questions on any of these things, too, obviously we're happy to help. You can always hit us up at success@marmalead.com. And with any questions or comments that you have about this or anything else Marmalead or Etsy SEO related.
Yes.
Or Etsy
and
Jam
in
related.
The blog, you can use the search to find a bunch of different articles.
Boom.
We have, like 50 some jams right now, and I've covered a lot of topics, obviously, at that point, right?
I know.
Over 50 topics, and then there's also other blog posts that just stand on their own. All the Etsy jams have write-ups. Well, maybe not all of them. Some of the early ones probably don't. Maybe.
That's true.
Yeah, but a lot of the recent ones do.
Yeah.
What else? Marmalead.com/help. That goes to the onboarding page, right?
Yep.
And then there's a separate knowledge base from there that you can find
with even more
search
words.
Articles. Yeah, we have a lot of words out there.
Yeah.
So go find those words.
Yeah. Use them. Ask us about
Use them. Yes. All of the above.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
Yeah.
Until next time. Go check those out.
Do you want to do the sign off? You want me to do the sign off?
You can do the sign off.
I'll do
you always do the sign off.
I always do the sign off. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe somebody did it once. I don't know. We should, when we have guests, we should have them do the sign offs.
I like the idea. Yeah, someone should come sign up as a guest too. Email.
Yeah.
us.
That's a good point. Yeah. Definitely do that if you want to be a guest on the jam. It's been a while since we've had a guest episode. We've got some scheduled on the horizon, but you should definitely contact us if you want to be a guest on the show. We always like talking to different people.
That we do.
Yeah. And then, you don't have to do the sign off if you don't want to do the sign off, I guess.
Nah, see, now you go scaring people away.
I know. I got to backtrack, but then maybe we'll throw it at them at the last second. Hey, remember when we said you could do the sign off? Go.
Yes.
Exactly.
Come on the jam where we'll put you on the spot.
Yeah. Nah, we're pretty. Yeah. Or will we?
Or will we?
I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Now no one's going to sign up, man. We just ruined it.
Pretty much.
Oh, well.
We'll see. Maybe someone brave will sign up.
Maybe. And if not, we'll just start repeating topics, Be like, look, we haven't talked about this in forever. Let's just talk about it again.
There you go. What's the deal with pricing?
What's the deal? Yeah, we should do that.
Yeah, we'll switch it up a little bit.
We could do a whole What's the Deal series.
I like it. What's the deal with Shop Fitness Calculator?
fresh take on the
Well-
episode you just heard.
We'll just read parts of it and we'll say, what's the deal about this? What's the deal with conversion rate?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, we could go to Etsy. We could like look at bizarre products and be like, what's the deal with this?
Oh, we could do that. There's a lot
Yeah.
of good ones out there too, like unique things.
Oh, be careful.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, man. Well, I'll sign off then.
All right.
Since we don't have
All
a
right.
guest to do it for us. We will
Thanks to
see.
you, scaring them away.
I know. Totally blew it. We messed up oranges and we scared away all our guests. All right.
It's been a productive episode.
Better luck next time on Etsy Jam.